The Codec Conversation.
So, given the reception we've gotten from the last show, Big Boss versus Solid Snake, we wanted to go even deeper. Given the responses we were given, it was very thought out because people actually started to comment this time.
Yeah, and like you were saying, we want to go deeper, and we kind of think of each game as not just a game, but like what certain things can we take from it, and we can extend it and talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, because if Kojima is someone who concentrates on detail that much, then it had to start somewhere. You know what I mean? And so without further ado, we just want you to join us in this conversation and let us know what you think about it. UCB Podcast. You'll find us there on Twitter at UCB Podcast. And if you're listening to or watching us on YouTube, please subscribe down here. Give us a like if you like our stuff. But today we're talking about why, the background in which the boss lost to Big Boss. Naked Snake, right? Throughout the entire game, you're getting your butt beat by the boss time and time again.
Yeah.
And then in the end of the game, no pun intended, you win. You get to kill the boss. Now, we might be able to say, well, it was the boss's mission to die.
Yeah.
Or we can say, well, plot armor, right? But we've really started to think about it and say, is there more to that? Like, was it just that simple? Like Kojima just said, well, he has to kill her. And just let it go just like that.
Here's the thing about it is we thought about it in about 2 or 3 different scenarios. It was the one you just mentioned, which is obviously the boss's mission is to die. She came in here and she knew that this was her last mission. There's subtleties in what she's saying throughout the game where, especially in the last fight where, she knows that this is the final mission for her.
She had to die.
She had to die. So there's also that. So there's just she was holding back, the whole time, right? Where she was just, just whatever, holding back, and she was just trying to do this and all that. And during the ending fight, she just held back everything she had because she wanted Snake to kill him. Her, yeah, sorry. She wanted Snake to kill her. And so there's also the theory where Snake was holding back. This one's a little harder for me to believe because, man, he literally got thrown off a bridge and his arm broken and all these things. But it's a speculation, that we can't oversee. There's differences in this. So my argument is more of, I think that maybe the boss, she probably held back during that mission because she knew that this is the last one.
Ending, the final fight.
The final fight. This is the final fight.
She held back in the final fight.
Right. If you didn't know, if you don't fight that fight, without a gun, then come on, man. What are you doing, guys? What are you doing? Fight her, CQC style. Although I know she pulls out the Patriot and it's
just to get your attention. It's just when you're away from her.
Because if you notice, it doesn't really hit him as much. You're on the ground. If she knocks you down, it goes and sometimes she misses a lot of the shots. So.
Well, you're not being hit because she just knocked you down.
Right.
That's just it. But given it's crazy though, because at the time, if we look at Snake's body at the time, he just recently fought Vogan. He just recently beat a Shagohod.
Yeah.
And not to mention...
And tortured.
Yeah. Well, that...
And also his eye is out.
He lost an eye, right?
No.
But here we have... And then also, when they left on the motorcycle, after a while, the motorcycle crashed. Snake freaking...
That's right. Yes. Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, he broke his rib. Something happened.
Yeah.
And it went through Eva. So we're talking about injured Naked Snake.
Yeah, he's pretty beat up.
You know what I mean? If this was in real... And not to mention, the day before, a couple of days before, he was in the ICU from the dislocated elbow. And
Yep.
All that stuff. So he's pretty injured and handicapped. That could be some of the reason why the boss kind of had the upper hand in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're looking at that. And the possibility of him losing at the bridge could be because he was distraught about what was just happening. And he was basically facing her.
Maybe caught off guard.
Well, he was facing her maybe like if they were sparring. You remember when you and I used to, well, you know, used to go to the mixed martial arts.
We wouldn't go 100%.
Yeah, you and I wouldn't go 100% because we didn't have that much, we didn't have animosity against each other. But it
And
would
also,
be like,
you shouldn't if you're training.
right. Maybe the mentality of Snake was,
That's a good point.
yeah, like a sparring kind of a thing. Like,
Because if you feel like it, like, yes, you just found out that, hey, okay, yes, you're clearly betraying whatever it is that we had, but my body and my movement towards you is of a training partner.
Right.
So
you
your
hold
body,
back.
yeah, your body is naturally going to hold back anyway. And
Right.
that's a good point because, you know, I think the earliest times in my life when I was competing in BJJ, it was always like, okay, don't go 100% ever because, you know, you don't want to hurt your partner. So I struggled a lot in my first few tournaments because I thought it was a sparring match. So I would get tired more easily. The other guys, you know, going 100%. He's trying to rip my head off. But for me, I'm like, you know, let me stay calm and let me also not go full force because my body was so used to it.
you treated them as like you know, instead of your opponent, you treated them as your rival.
Exactly.
Like an opponent, not
Exactly.
as a regular opponent. So in this case, psychological, and the boss did play on his psychological feelings towards her.
He
because
did. She did, yeah.
Because when he pulled out the gun, and she was like, "Can you pull the trigger?"
Right, yeah.
And
yeah.
she caught him off guard, and you know, disarmed the gun.
Yeah.
There was a lot of feelings that Naked Snake had towards the boss.
And yeah, and also just like playing on that is the emotional aspect of it. Like you get to know someone for that long, right? You not only get to know them like physically, verbally, but physically, where you know
You're trading
you're
blows.
training everything. So everything feels like naturally to Snake. It maybe feels like, okay, I'm not 100% committed to hitting her or doing this or that. So for her, it's like she's already gone. She's not thinking.
She's committed to the mission.
She's
She
committed
knows
to that, and
like,
she knows she can't be that way.
while Naked Snake is confused, she's already knows this has to happen.
Yeah.
I can't. She was probably preparing herself that time that they were gone. I think it was like 2 to 3 years that they didn't see each other before the virtuous
Yeah.
mission. She probably had to prepare her mind and her body and her soul. She was going to defect or act like she was going to defect.
Yeah,
and she had to sell it to Vogan, who was watching.
The whole time, and you can tell because in certain parts, you know, he stands back and stays back and kind of sees the interaction because obviously he knows that they train together or whatever,
Right.
you know. But it's also like he's trying to see, like, okay, what is he gonna do? Because he's a very skeptical man.
Now, here's the thing, though. He was going to kill him on the bridge.
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so the boss, to sell the deception even more and to save
Snake.
Naked Snake,
Yeah.
at the same time, she said, no, he was my apprentice. I'll take care of him.
I'll take care of him. Yeah.
Right? And so it was just like she threw him over the bridge on purpose. Because remember, when she does it, she says, you know, like, go away now. Like, my place is with them.
Yeah.
It was to save his life while he was still confused about what was going on. And so exploring this detail throughout the entire Snake Eater, we have to look back at their past. Now, we know that the Cobra unit fought with the boss, but it's documented and Snake has said it, you know, it's like for 10 years, we lived and died together.
We have to look at the meaning of that. Live and die together. Arnaldo and I were speaking earlier, like, because at first we were just like thinking, oh, maybe this could be like they're just training together. But live and die together means more than that, meaning they faced something that meant
Face trials, missions,
right?
things.
Missions, things that maybe no one can understand. Like he spoke to Eva about it,
Hardships.
and it wasn't like an in love kind of thing because he says no, nothing like that. But it's
It
more
goes deeper than
it goes-
that. That's what he said.
right, it goes
he
deeper.
literally used, like, for someone to say that means something.
Yeah.
It's like, do you love her? And he says, no, nothing like that. You know, it goes deeper than that. You know, like, it means something when you say something like that.
So to live and die together is more of, man, you know, I've saved your life, you saved my life, we've been through the worst of the worst and came back from the rut or whatever it was.
A more Western way to say it would be, we've gone through to hell and back.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of a deal. You think that would be like a fair assessment?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that, and then you brought up a point. It's like, so how does that work with the Cobra unit? You know, Naked Snake never knew about the Cobra unit.
He didn't know anything.
Or maybe he did, because he never says, I never knew anything about the Cobra unit.
True, yeah, we can assume, but I mean, I think it's a fair assessment.
Maybe he didn't know them he didn't know them personally.
Right, yeah.
Maybe he's heard about the stories. Although I just something came up. The boss said in the end when she talked about herself, she says, thank you for listening. I've never talked this much about myself. So who knows how much she knew.
That's very true,
for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years they developed CQC together. For 10 years.
Yeah.
And so are you going to tell me, like, and this is not a sexist claim or anything, but are you going to tell me that a larger man, because from what we know in between Naked Snake and the boss is, she noticed that he lost weight.
Yeah.
So he was a bigger man.
Right.
I'm not saying he was fat, but he was a bigger man.
Bigger, yeah.
Right? Are you going to tell me that bigger man, more strength, because naturally men are stronger than women, it just is.
Yeah.
Right? Is going to be overtaken by a woman all that time? You know, he wasn't going to grow stronger than her and stuff like that, because we're talking about judo drops and stuff like that. Yeah. And I mean, you know, you do this all the time, so you can tell me it's kind of like, it's not saying that women can't do it. It's just a little harder.
No, it's a little harder, yes. But I mean, I know a bunch of like high level brown and black belt females that are just easily hands down better than I am, better than some of the dudes there. It's all about just technique. You know, it's not really based on strength or you know, weight and stuff, weight distribution, because you use their weight against them. It's really more of a distribution towards them than it is for yourself. Of course, though, they were training together. I don't know at what pace, you know, but it seems like they developed this together, right? From what they said, it seems like they were both kind of growing at the same pace.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to believe, you know, that it's like she will best him in that, because I would assume that he'll continue his training. Or maybe he didn't, you know, it's a lot of the gap between, when they first met, which we don't know anything about, right? Till their departure, which is, he just mentions she just disappeared. So like, I'm pretty sure she disappeared to, you know, obviously gain a new mission, and then found out about all of the stuff that she found out about.
Maybe she had to, like I said before, she was preparing to defect.
Right. And then
this didn't happen overnight.
And then the relationship between the Sorrow and her obviously goes way back, because we know of, you know, Ocelot.
We know that the boss is probably a good 10 years older than Snake, than Big Boss was.
Yeah. And now it has me thinking that maybe it wasn't the 2 or 3 years with the Cobra unit. Maybe it was before Snake.
It was before Snake. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
After it, what I'm saying, the 2 or 3 years that she left and she didn't tell him anything was her preparing for Snake Eater.
Yeah.
You know, to do that, because that's a lot of training to just know all that detail and to prepare to defect. You know, when they thought, well, remember, the mission was just at the virtuous mission. She was going to fool him. You know, and then that's it. And well, of course, had to find the philosopher's legacy. Mm-hmm. But what changed is that he fired the nukes, and now she has to die. Like, can you imagine that phone call, boss?
Yeah, yeah.
He fired the nukes. We have no choice. You have to die.
Yeah,
you have to do this. But let's not get away from the topic so much. But let's look at the psychological part of you know, this fight. So, by the time he's in Snake Eater, when he after the virtuous mission, he's now somewhat convinced he has to kill the boss, but still doubts.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? He's not fully committed.
Yeah, I think, and especially in that part where she's laying on the ground and you have the gun there. I mean, there, you know,
are you talking about the ending?
Complete ending, right?
Okay.
In the battlefield with the flowers, like, you're pointing the gun at her, and like, you can tell that this is a difficult moment for him.
Right.
You know?
The way he describes it was with Solid Snake at the part 4. He's like, by the time I killed the boss, I was already dead.
Right.
You know? That was the hardest thing he ever had to do. But like in Snake Eater, right? He loses again to her, right? When she shows up and she says, I guess death wasn't ready for you yet, right?
Yeah.
How is it he has a gun pointed at her? She's a good maybe 3 feet away, maybe 4.
So
right?
she's not at arm's length.
She's not at arm's length. There's no way that she can run that fast in order for him to like not shoot her.
Yeah.
But he drops his gun, right?
Slightly. Yep.
And as soon as he goes, boss, she runs at him. Are you going to tell me he couldn't quickly just bam?
Of course he could.
Given the training, you see,
of course.
So that's why I said it feeds into the whole. There's doubt.
Yeah,
he can't just kill her.
And
he
also
can't just shoot her.
Look at gameplay when you go into first person view and you like slightly press square. If we're talking about PlayStation 2, like he'll pick up that gun like this. He'll go super quick. So there's no doubt in my mind.
He's had training in this. What I was what we were telling Heido, what Heido and I were talking about, was the fact that Big Boss is in the Fox unit. You know what I mean? He had prior military experience.
Correct. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't just like get off the boat and go into the Fox unit. That's it. You're good. It's like, no, you have to train. We don't know. Maybe he was in the Special Forces since the boss was the mother of America's Special Forces.
Yeah.
Right? Whichever one, Army, Marines, whichever ones it was, Navy.
Whichever, yeah.
Right? So it was just like, he has training. He has prior training. You're going to tell me that a fully trained man at that distance versus a fully trained woman, another soldier, can't raise his gun in time for her to like not get to you, disarm you. You know what I mean? Not to take away her legend, because she was a legendary warrior.
Very,
but
very
when
good.
we look at it objectively, it's like, come on. He should have been able to shoot her.
Yeah, and I think
before
that just
she even disarmed her.
I think that just plays into his emotional attachment
Which
to
is
the
what we're
boss,
saying, like, yeah.
which is something that I feel like that he has a lot more attachment to her, because he's confused, 2, he's also being deceived, and he doesn't even know that. And in the end, we find that out in later games, right? We find that out. But also, he's more like, man, I can kill her right now, but I chose not to. So there's 2 factors in this. As we're dissecting this, there's 2 factors. There can be, both of them are actually
holding back. You think both of them are holding back?
Because I'm pretty sure she could have killed him.
Granted, that is true. At any point in time, when she knocked him down and she took out the Patriot to shoot the airplane,
and then the explosion and stuff, she could have killed him,
shot him to death.
She didn't have to shoot
3 times.
She knew that was gonna cause an alert for soldiers to come.
She was giving him a chance to escape.
Exactly, and she knows him better than anyone, like he said, and she knows that he could escape whatever's coming. The soldiers,
right? She says, there's a few hundred miles to the shore. You think you can run that far?
Right, exactly.
So she tells him, like, get out of here.
Exactly,
many times. Although at the same time, it could be that she's putting him to the test. Right? Because she knows that he's the one that has to kill her.
Right, but also maybe she's waiting for him to finish his mission.
That's what I'm saying.
And for her to finish her mission as well. Which also plays on both of them, because it's like he's holding back because he knows, like you explained, he could have just raised his gun and shot her, and she could have
ended the game,
right? And then she could have done the same, and vice versa, right? So it feels like they're both holding back because of love, but also more on the fact that, yes, the boss absolutely loves Snake, and he absolutely loves her, but it's also like she knows more than him in every aspect
in terms
of the
combat and stuff like that. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then also in terms of the mission, like
yes.
she knows, man, you don't even know, you're so young, and like, you will know soon enough. And even in death, she didn't tell him. Even in death,
she couldn't. She wasn't allowed to. She told Eva to tell him.
Right.
That's what the whole ending was about. That was the whole debrief.
That was it. Yeah.
right?
Always reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 1 and Naomi's talking to Snake, and you know, you see the wolves and stuff. Oh, I love that scene as well with the
best is yet to come.
Yes, that song is fantastic.
So
yeah, it just reminds me of that.
right. So we look at the you know, throughout the entire time, you know, the boss is actually saving Snake from time to time, right? But then we get to the part where he gets caught as that he was dressed up as Rykov, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And remember when Vogan catches up to him, you know, and he's about to lay it down on Snake.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's another thing. So, you know, or maybe it could be because the boss was there, but it was like Snake took down Vogan at that moment. Remember, he like judo, he was like right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the boss came in.
Yeah.
And took away his gun again. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Snake. You know? So it was just like, before she left, she was like, what are you going to do to him? He was like, I'm going to make him pay for hurting Ivan. And he beats the crap out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's when he loses his eye and whatnot, and whatever the case may be. And the third fight is in the garage where you plant the C3.
Yeah.
That's where he fights again. And you notice in this fight, he's actually like, he's growing out of it and he's actually fighting now.
Yeah.
He's fighting her.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And they actually had a fight to the point where Ocelot had to stop it by sticking his gun up
His gun
to
out.
his head.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's how he stopped the fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Snake was holding his own now.
He was. Yeah. So you see the development.
There's a development in him. Now we're talking about injured Snake. He's pretty injured.
He's roughed up. He's really roughed up.
You know, throughout, if you look at all the experiences, you know, he got out of the jail cell and he was tortured and he was beaten up by Vogan twice. Yeah. You know, and jumped also, off the waterfall.
And also think about it, not only for his physical body, but also emotionally is draining, because he's like, man, like the person that I trusted the most ever is deceiving me here. Like, what is happening? He's so confused. So it's like he has no other choice but to be angry. And like, you know, I always think of like when he's on the machine and he goes, "Argh!" Like, I feel like he's taking all his frustrations out. You know, like when you're holding the machine gun and he's like, ah, you know, like,
and when you shoot it repeatedly, the M63,
yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I get it. It's a real development for him, and I think he's starting to accept it. He's starting to accept what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah.
So now, after everything that happened, after you fight Vogan again in the vault, you escape from the explosion.
Yeah.
After that, you fight the Shagohod.
Yep.
Get away, right, in a motorcycle. Motorcycle crashes. Snake is flung in one direction, even is flung in another. He breaks a bone, right, or two. You patch up. You get through the forest with Eva. You fight the boss for the final time. And in this instance, the boss is not injured, not even remotely.
No, she's been clean because she's been on the other side.
She's good. Now, we've got an uninjured the boss versus a pretty banged up Naked Snake.
Yeah.
And the conundrum is, at the end, he wins. Right? And so, like we said before, so it was like, did he finally just like realize this is real? This is real. This is really happening.
Yeah.
I have to kill the boss. No more doubts. Right? Nothing else getting in the way.
Yeah, it's true.
It's either do or die.
And even in the fight, like you hear her, like she's kind of taunting you a bit, like during the gameplay fight, you know, like get ready and like here I come, like stuff like that, where she's just, it's taunts, you know, towards Snake.
Right, criticisms too and all that.
And the best way to fight her is really obviously hand to hand, but is also counterattacking because, I mean, I'm pretty sure we all know the trick by now, but it's like run away from her and then wait for her to come to you.
Actually, in Extreme, in European Extreme or Extreme, they, like after a certain amount of health, you can no longer seek you see her. You can only counter.
Yeah. You can't do it, which only explains to you why that would be the best course, obviously.
Right. So it's a lot of things. It's
Yeah.
a lot of things. It's like, here is the final battle. I have to, and she even does it. She's like, he's trying to talk her out one last time.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
boss, why are you doing this? And she's like, you're a soldier. Finish your mission.
She's pretty much like telling him, but not telling him. Like, dude, just please see it. Like, just finish your mission. Trust me on this one. But it's like an outcry for, I still got to be bad for him, but also I got to edge him a little more to let him know.
It's the thing. She's fully, like I said, she's fully committed to this. That's it. She can't go back to America. She can't. Right. If Vogan never fired those missiles, she could have pretended to defect. Once she got the Philosopher's Legacy, she would have went back to America.
And that's it. Yeah.
A hero. But now she has to die. She's fully committed. She can't do anything else. She's given into her role, and Snake has given into his role.
Yeah.
Now they're really both coming at each other to kill each other. Don't you see how it's built up now?
Yeah.
Like, throughout the entire time, they both have an issue in killing each other, because the boss could have killed Snake at any time.
Yeah.
And
now,
Snake
now it's
had the
like
opportunity.
There's no other choice. Like, everyone is dead. Vogan is dead. There's no more Shagwalhad. There's an escape for Snake because Eva's obviously doing that.
There's Migs coming their way.
Right, their way. So it's like, there's no choice now. There's no choice.
Now we have to either be fully committed or one of us will die.
Yeah.
And so that is the final. I think that's why Snake won at the end.
Yeah.
I think he
when
won.
He has no other choice.
Yeah, because he had to do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you think about it really, part 3 can be actually named The Phantom Pain. Because you know how part 5 always brings back phantoms and whatever the case may be, that moment with Paz and, trying to recollect what they had. From that moment in which the boss was killed by Big Boss lost himself.
Absolutely.
And he was, through Peace Walker and all of that, all you see after that is the phantom of his former self.
He was no longer himself. No longer. Right when he killed her, he was no longer Naked Snake.
And he held on to that as long as he could as Peace Walker. When he realized he finally killed the boss in the mech, or the Peace Walker.
Yeah,
he took off his bandana and he let it go. And he says, call me Big Boss.
Yeah.
So
that's a great episode. I mean, that's great. Really good.
Good talk, man. So you guys let us know at underthecardboardbox@gmail.com what you guys think. If you guys are watching us live right now on Twitter, let us know at U.C.B. Podcast. Follow us there. Let us know if you want us to do this live even more. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Again, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, or you can follow us in any of your podcast services. Nice. Good episode, bro.
You guys like that?
Yeah.
No one's watching. I mean, let's face it, there's not much stuff to talk about.
We have to start over.
Why?
We didn't look at the camera.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't look at the camera. Dang. It's okay. It's good. We'll do another take. We'll do another take. We'll do it live.
It's good, man. Thank you, bro.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
And we got that on video. Got that.
It's not planned.